DeAndre Hopkins has obviously been the popular taste for Cleveland Browns fans, but a recently released veteran, Dalvin Cook, running back from the Minnesota Vikings, seems to be something that would fit the Cleveland Browns so much better. Jeff Lloyd, joined by Pete Smith, your latest Locked On Browns.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on ELOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, joined by Sports Illustrated, Browns Digest, Pete Smith, at _Pete Smith. We're going to get to a lot of stuff here today, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Look, FanDuel, the promotions every day, they're great. Give you a lot of help, assistance, and hopefully trying to cash out. The app is safe and secure. You get your money back instantly. There is no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So all the everydayers who make Locked On Browns your first listen, you guys are the absolute greatest. Again, as always, you are the fabric on which the show is built. To the new traffic coming in, whether it was a Zadarius Smith trade, whether it was extending some players this past week, OTAs, be more like the everydayers. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube page. Make sure you have notifications on, so when the content drops, you guys are there to absorb it. Audio-wise, Locked On Browns is available and always free wherever you get your podcasts. We want to get a little bit into this. For the dalliance now for the last couple of weeks with DeAndre Hopkins and finding every possible reason to bring him in. And yes, the relationship there with Deshaun Watson. But there was a player cut in recent days. And look, with these veterans, it's always about money and whether it fits, whether it makes it work, because sometimes you're disrupting a room this late in the offseason. But this one necessarily would not be a disruption to the room. Again, DeAndre Hopkins, and now we're going to talk about Dalvin Cook. Obviously, these may be fallacies. They may be things that will never come to fruition. But as much as I've seen so many people want to go to basically the holy grail to bring DeAndre Hopkins to Cleveland, I don't see the same effort coming for Dalvin Cook. Here is a running back that is already experienced with Coach Kevin Stefanski, spent his rookie year with him. Obviously, there was time missed. Here is a guy who's put together 4 straight 1,000-yard season. Here is a guy who's had more receiving production over the last 4 seasons than we've ever seen Nick Chubb do to this point. So in a world, and again, Nuke Hopkins, Dalvin Cook, it may not happen, either one of them, and most likely will not happen. But Pete, I ask to you, why is there not more of a banging of the drum? Why is there not more of an onus put towards this? To bringing a player like Dalvin Cook here. Everybody wanted Kareem Hunt, loved Kareem Hunt, all this, that, and the other thing. Dalvin Cook could come in here right now for this 2023 season. And look, we understand the passing game is going to be more than the running game, and that's the evolution that's going to go. But this would be a 10-time, in my opinion, more beneficial move than going after DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, look, I mean, Dalvin Cook has an obvious role immediately. You can complement Nick Chubb. You have insurance just in case Jerome Ford isn't ready to go. But he is very good in the passing game. His best season in his career when he had over 500 yards receiving was when he was with Kevin Stefanski. And he's obviously played in that zone system that Kevin Stefanski's utilized. So it's not like it's a difficult transition for him. And if there's any worry about him, sliding in terms of his age or whatever, you're already set because you have Nick Chubb. Now, the thing is, he's going to cost the presumption is he's going to cost a lot of money, and he might. Your best hope is the fact that he was released so late in the process that everybody is more or less committed, and the Browns have kept themselves alive with cap room, and that there's a scenario where Dalvin Cook says, "Hey, I know the coach there. I like the quarterback there. Hey, two of my former teammates are there. I could have a great year and get one more big contract while potentially contending. And that might be enough. But like as you said, and I agree, the chances of it are slim. But I think that he offers more to the Browns than DeAndre Hopkins does at this point.
And we're getting in this weird spot here now when we talk about these guys financially, because look, it's Ezekiel Elliott, it's Leonard Fournette, it is now Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon is still out there. Pete, and look again, who knows the way the money's going to work? And look, and Dalvin, and this is the weirdest thing about it, because all signals point to him going back to South Beach, and when Dalvin was coming out of Florida State, there were questions about him. And it wasn't about the player so much. It was about his connections to the Florida area. And many people I had talked to at the time was, if you want Dalvin Cook to succeed in the NFL, you need to get him the HE double hockey sticks up out of South Florida. He ended up going to Minnesota. Obviously, it's worked out very well for him. Now might here be the opportunity where he goes back. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, people grow, they mature, all this, that, of course. Maybe there's more money there that the Miami Dolphins would be willing to put towards him. It could also free up, Pete, a running back for the Miami Dolphins. Jeffrey Wilson might be a nice fit for the Cleveland Browns. But there are a lot of veteran running backs out there right now. And look, each day, each week, each month that this goes on, the money they, A, are hoping for, or B, the thinking they're going to get, probably dries up more and more and more. And players don't always make the most rational decisions. And, with Dalvin Cook, who knows the way it works out, he would also be in a position where you play possibly in the AFC East 2 games a year against his brother. But either way, Pete, if the Browns want to go this route and maybe we get a little bit of Nick Chubb insurance that he doesn't, God forbid he doesn't make the entire season, or you double up on it, it's some Jerome Ford insurance that he's just not ready yet, which none of us know the answer to. That opportunity is definitely there for the Cleveland Browns right now.
I would argue that the longer the process plays out, the better position the Browns are, because sure, as you mentioned, that Dalvin Cook is out there, Ezekiel Elliott is out there, Melvin Gordon is out there,
Leonard Fournette, these guys are all out there.
Yeah, and some of them are good. But the thing is, like,
bing, bong.
You get either they're going to sign or whatever, but somebody's probably going to be left out there, and then the Browns can sort of pounce. I mean, the thing is, the Browns sit there, and they're a pretty good opportunity. I mean, if you're sitting there going, "Hey, where can I get a good offensive line, good quarterback play, playing an offense that's going to sort of suit me?" A lot of these guys can look at the Browns and be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Now, that all is on the presupposing that they're okay with not getting as much money as they might get elsewhere, or that they're just, it's musical chairs and they're without a seat at that point. But either way, like Dalvin Cook is obviously the best fit just in terms of system and everything else and his ability to contribute in the passing game. But, no one's going to be upset if Ezekiel Elliott suddenly shows up in Browns camp for like a reasonable deal and just is a power back the way Kareem Hunt was, except, with Ezekiel Elliott has functioning eyes. So you do have a really good setup for that. And, I'm not a big Fournette guy, but he is the same thing. Same thing with Melvin Gordon. I don't really love either of those. But the
one thing here is Melvin Gordon is about to be on the wrong side of 30. Dalvin Cook's about to be 28. So, and that is like a decade in running back years. But go ahead.
But I do like the fact that you brought up, let's say Dalvin Cook signs with the Dolphins or the Bills or one of the other teams, and then they release somebody that the Browns might like. That's also an interesting opportunity, or they just trade for somebody like, a player we're not going to keep for a player you're not going to keep type deal, or, conditional whatever pick. That might be the answer for them getting if their third running back. The other part of that I would just note, and obviously, we're not going to see them on the field until training camp, which, may interfere with the timeline. But if this is still going on into August, the Browns get to sort of look and evaluate the guys that they have in there, Hassan Hall and the various other youngsters, Demetric Felton and some of the other second year and rookie guys they've got. They get to evaluate as long as possible before they ultimately bite the bullet on one of these guys. But like I said, I think the Browns are in a good position to get another running back if they want another running back.
100% and in total agreement there. And, and Demetric Feltman, this could be a spot where, where we weren't sure he was going to make the 2022 roster. And all of a sudden, maybe a better opportunity for him to make the 2023 roster. We'll see. But, obviously still a lot of leaves to be shaken off the trees here in the coming days, weeks, and obviously about a month or so before 2023 training camp. Jeff Lloyd, Pete Smith, continuing here on Locked On Browns. We're going to get to a little bit of talk here. Browns, some contract restructures here for a couple of players in the house. We'll get to that. Jeff Lloyd, Pete Smith, your latest Locked On Browns. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Jeff Lloyd, Pete Smith, continuing here on Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Be more like the everydayers. Subscribe on YouTube. Have your notifications on wherever Locked On Browns is available. Audio-wise, we are always available and always free. Pete, in it's almost kind of like the summer camp, the wrap-up. Jordan Elliott, contract restructured. Harrison Bryant, contract restructured. It looks like both of these players will make this team for the fourth season in a row. There were questions about it, no doubt. And Jordan Elliott, we always hear these lovely speeches every OTA as we lead up to the lull before training camp. Jordan Elliott's look great. It's really worked out. He's put in the effort. Harrison Bryant, maybe Harrison Bryant as a third tight end might be the absolute best role for Harrison Bryant. And I truly think Harrison Bryant can be a weapon here. And when I say a weapon here, I'm talking maybe 15 to 20 receptions. He is a mismatch as far as how do you cover him. He has the size and the length that you can put him outside, and he's difficult to match up with defensive backs. He's generally quicker than most linebackers. But the Browns with a little housekeeping here as they close out OTAs.
I really like the move with Harrison Bryant. Look, he had 30 catches last year. That was sort of an underwhelming season because there are a number of plays that you wish you had back or catches you wish you would have made. But like David Njoku, every offseason is always saying that, watch out, this is the year for Harrison Bryant. And I think the Browns are sort of trying to take that same tact. It's just the nature of that position. And David Njoku went through it. And Harrison Bryant's obviously not David Njoku, but you're willing to play this out to see if it'll work. And he's now in a position where he can battle for reps with Jordan Akins. They can both play that F role, which is fine. This is perfect. If
either one of them can block, that's going to be the one that wins, to be honest.
Yeah. But the thing is, if Harrison Bryant struggles this year, he has another sort of up and down season, he's not going to make any money. He's going to make the $1.75 million, which is cheaper than he would have. But if he balls out, you're going to happily pay him the $4 million and probably look to sign him again.
Oh, absolutely.
But he becomes a super interesting free agent regardless, just because there's always teams, which I think is a smart play, who are looking for tight ends coming off of rookie deals. They're going to be like, I'll take a shot, see if he works. And then it's like a lottery ticket at that point. Jordan Elliott's more interesting in terms of not just for him, but everybody else. For Jordan Elliott, he's probably best suited to be a backup 3 and a 1 that can come in and rush the passer. I hope they don't have any delusions of him starting again, but like that's fine.
Okay, all right. First things first, though. If he's not starting, who is? Unless you're saying door number 3.
Yeah, they're not on the team yet.
Okay, fair enough.
But what I hope the Browns are doing, and what I hope has happened, I hope they haven't said a word to Perry and Winfrey about this, and they're not like going, "Don't worry about it." I hope he is worried. I want this to be pressure on him. That if he's looking at this and going, "Oh, Jordan Elliott's already got a job," that's one less spot for me to make the roster. If I screw up, I'm probably out of here. So I like that element of it. Obviously, you've still got Maurice Hurst, you've still got Tristan Hill, but like that's a big move in terms of just what it does for the rest of that defensive line room. So I get it from that standpoint. And here again, as you mentioned, this is the second year in a row after the first 2 years he admittedly was lazy. Second year where he's worked really hard, he's ready to do it. And I hope he does, but certainly not in a position where I'm going to bet on him. And the restructuring is telling you that the Browns aren't either. I would think that is what that says. We want you to take less money to start is probably not the conversation that's being had here. So it's a good situation. It's another position where it takes that the development curve can be a lengthy one, but if it works, Jordan Elliott, people forget how big of a deal of a project. Like Pro Football Focus was in love with Jordan Elliott. He was like
a top 23 prospect.
Like, so, you know, and people are like, well, Andrew Berry can't draft, and that's fine. But this is one of those picks where you like, you totally get it. You understand why they did it. If it doesn't work, fine. But like, you want to see this one play out because again, if he can do it, you're going to want to keep him.
No, and look for Elliott, and it's funny that it's even gone this far because like it was 1, and then it was 2, and then it was 3. And the thing is one of the reasons that they loved him, and this was always something the Browns did is, and I'm not saying it was the Bible, but it seemed their draft choices lined up with what PFF thought of players. And that first draft class out of the box, I mean, all these guys were extremely, extremely high on the PFF board, but it's just not gotten there to this point yet with Elliott. And we've heard that, it looks better. And, and there is nothing that Jim Schwartz has seen to this point that is going to make or break what Jordan Elliott can do for him this year. Harrison Bryant, but you've at least seen it's been limited, but when they've thrown the ball, he's had impact. You go back to his rookie year. That was the game where Odell went down. Harrison Bryant catches 2 touchdown passes. It turns out to be an incredible day for the Cleveland Browns. And Harrison Bryant, and again, with him and Jordan Akins, it wouldn't stun me if there were times where both of them were off the field and they brought on a James Hudson or they brought on a DeJuan Jones to say that, we're going to use these guys as a blocking tight end here. And I don't care if it's just that blatantly obvious because neither one of those guys are to that point in their career as far as blocking. And, Bryant, maybe it's a little bit more understandable. Akins, probably not so much. But you basically have 2 guys that are kind of the same in that respect here. But again, look, there's only so much more you can do now. If you're an NFL franchise, you want to get, and the other thing is you want some continuity. You want guys to understand who's going to be here, who's not, understanding there are glaring holes, some spots, and we're going to get to that here in segment 3. He is Pete Smith, Browns Digest, SportsIllustrated.com. Pete and his team over there do a fantastic job. Great coverage day in, day out. Pete and Pre, the podcast, it's always fun. It's a lot more looseness to it. Obviously, bring a little more real life to it. So if you're not, make sure you check everything out on Browns Digest, SportsIllustrated.com. Of course, as far as Locked On Browns, again, you guys are the absolute best here. This is going to be a little bit of a lull here. The content's going to come every day, but I understand y'all want to go live your summer here. But Browns football season this year is going to start a little sooner. Hall of Fame week. The Browns with the 4th preseason game, playing in the Hall of Fame game. Watching Joe Thomas go into the Hall of Fame. So appreciate everybody. Locked On Browns. Make sure you're following on YouTube. Make sure you have your notifications on, so when the content drops, you guys are all there to absorb it. Audio-wise, Locked On Browns. Always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Pete, so if we're looking at it right now. Obviously, we know LaDainian, good Lord, Dalvin Tomlinson in the fold. You got to think for sure Ika in the fold. Obviously, it looks like now Jordan Elliott. And then you get to this Perion Winfrey, and we're not even sure legally how this is going to play out, whether or not Perion Winfrey is going to be here. Tommy Togiai, Maurice Hurst, Tristan Hill. So you're thinking we maybe have 3 in the house of the 5 possible defensive tackles to start week 1. Injuries, yeah, I guess we know, and free agency. But Pete, if you're looking at it now, you got to pick some guys to finish this room. And, you may want to pop an antacid. You may need a Tums. But how does this room shake out if the Browns cannot find said veteran to finish this room?
So my guess is that they're going to keep 5 defensive tackles on their 53-man roster.
3 in the house at this point. Yep.
So, and I don't think that the 5th guy is going to be a nose. So short of a injury, I think Tommy Togiai is basically cooked. But
never should have left Ohio State early.
But for the other 3, it's who's the best penetrating 3 tech. Can Maurice Hurst stay healthy? Can Tristan Hill capitalize on some of the flashes that advanced metrics suggest he can make? And can Perion Winfrey be accountable whatsoever? The answer there is probably not. So that to me, I think those 3 guys are competing for one spot. And ultimately, it's possible that they keep 2, but I think their best bet is still to go outside and bring in somebody else, free agent. I still look at Shelby Harris as the best fit, but I'd be perfectly happy with Matt Ioannidis to give them a credible starter at that spot, because you are 1 injury away from being back to last year, maybe slightly better, which is just incomprehensible to me at this point. So the battle for between those 3 is going to be interesting. Because they all theoretically can do one thing, which is penetrate and cause havoc. Who's going to do it at the highest level? Who's going to be consistent? Who's going to stay healthy? But yeah, get more help. Get a real answer to that so that Jordan Elliott can be probably in the role he should be. And if he's great, if he does finally break through, all the better.
Well, and this is what kind of makes, these talks about Dalvin Cook, obviously not nearly as much as DeAndre Hopkins. This is the part, and it will forever. And look, if you want to say DeAndre Hopkins right now, today, could be a better receiver than Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, I get that. But we're looking at, and look, the money's there, obviously, but you're looking at one positional group on this roster right now where, and this is the weirdest thing, Pete, because you went out and you just got a straight up dude in Dalvin Tomlinson. But, Ika, obviously, question mark. Jordan Elliott, look, we love the offseason, the offseason build-up, but we've been down this road before. Perion Winfrey just needs to get out of his own way. If Perion Winfrey wants to go back to the mobile player, Senior Bowl week that Perion Winfrey was, and that's the way he can live his life every day for the next 6-7 years, he'll make some good money in this league. Tommy Togiai, again, this is a guy that probably should have never left Ohio State early, and it's just never come to fruition here. Maurice Hurst, the reason I kind of cheer for Maurice Hurst in this is everything about Maurice Hurst is basically been things he cannot control. The injury, the heart condition, everything that went through, whether it was his draft process to where he is now in the NFL. And then Tristan Hill, albeit on a smaller sample size, he's kind of on the same path as Perion Winfrey, where at times he is his own worst enemy. For me, if there's a dog to root for in this fight, it's Maurice Hurst.
Yeah, I mean, just from a story standpoint, Hurst.
But even still, player-wise, he was the best
talented
of all of them coming out of college into the NFL.
Yes, he was a better player at Michigan. He was a better than, obviously, trying to think off the top of my head. Tristan Hill is a UCF guy,
yes,
I think.
Sir. Yes, sir. I think they won a national championship that they tell everybody about.
And then obviously Oklahoma and JUCO and Perion Winfrey stunk at Oklahoma. So Maurice Hurst has been better. He's actually done it in the NFL at a high level. Unfortunately, it's about as many years ago as DeAndre Hopkins was dominant. So that's really the problem, and that's why it's sort of a scratch-off situation where it could be great, but you can't count on it. And that's unfortunately the reality we're operating in. Is you've got what I would consider at this point 3 scratch-offs, and you need somebody to come in and be a real consistent player.
And look, at this point, the Matt Ioannidis thing is weird because I don't think Matt Ioannidis is a guy that's just sitting out there saying, I just want to show up for training camp. Shelby Harris, a little bit older, certainly more understood, if that was the route he's going. But you look at this room and everything you've done to this point. I mean, the McLeod signing as the third safety. We know about the 3 corners. Whether or not they're truly entertaining DeAndre Hopkins, who knows? But the depth and the moves, 5 wide receivers. If not, 5 wide receivers are going to make this roster. But obviously a whole hell of a lot more brought in here over the last 2 off seasons. Whether it was Deshaun, obviously, Dobbs, and the drafting of DTR. Continuing to work on the offensive line with the selection of Dwan Jones. It just seems so crazy to this point. And maybe it's because guys are just not ready to put pen to paper. But it seems truly crazy that the Cleveland Browns have not found one more veteran defensive tackle to go to this room to this point, Pete. And my only guess is it's not them. It's got to be the players that they're looking at.
Well, based on how Andrew Berry has operated, he makes his offer and he's probably not going to budge. And either the players are ultimately going to accept it or they're not. And the longer this plays out, the more likely is they are going to accept. And at this point, there's no rush anyway. There's no deadline at this point until training camp. So it's all the more reason not to rush. There was no reason to kill yourself to get to mini camp. And the Browns, you could use that obviously to evaluate the guys they had. So it was one more thing that it sort of benefited the Browns to wait. Now you're in sort of this pattern of if not the Browns, then who else? And certainly there are other teams that can use defensive tackle help. But here again, I think the Browns, because of the way they position themselves with the salary cap, because of the way they position themselves with their roster, and the fact that they have some juice right now, people are excited about playing for the Browns. Mm-hmm. People are excited about what's going on with the Browns. And, whether it's, I'm not going to pretend to know off the top of my head who the respective agents are, but whether it's players talking through their agents or guys who have played with other guys at various stops along the way, or friends of friends or whatever, you'll probably get a little bit of recruiting at this point, but ultimately it's going to be about dollars and cents. And I think we're going to see some movement. Obviously we just saw Leonard Floyd side with the Bills. So it's a little bit of a mystery of when stuff's going to happen because again, there's no deadline, but these players are going to want to get sorted out. I think there's more pressure on the players at this point than the teams because they don't want to be sitting out there and not have a team when training camp starts.
And there is some, and maybe not necessarily the defensive tackles, but the running backs, there is a little competition aspect here. And whether it's an Ezekiel Elliott, whether it's a Kareem Hunt, whether it is obviously a Dalvin Cook, it's always the, maybe wait and see approach, but no. And like you said, the musical chair, there's not a lot of opportunities left. So if somebody's giving you the chair, you got to take it here. Cause yes, it's always about the money, but it's the running back position. These guys want their touches. They want to show who they are. So it becomes really, really weird. And it's a large market still available at the veteran running back. So we'll see the way that all plays out because it's something certainly the Browns have interest in, but the defensive tackle one, that is the first and foremost. It's just so glaring with everything else. He is Pete Smith, Browns Digest, SportsIllustrated.com. Pete crushes it with his team day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. So make sure you're checking everything out over there. Make sure you're following @_Pete Smith _ myself, Jeff Lloyd @Jeff_LJ Lloyd, the show itself @Locked On Browns, follow back account, YouTube to all the everydayers. You guys are fantastic. Be more like the everydayers, make sure you are subscribed to the Locked On Browns YouTube page and make sure you have your notifications on. So when the content drops, you guys are there to absorb it. Audio wise, Locked On Browns, always available, always free, wherever you get your podcast. Real quick recap. Dalvin Cook should be something over DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, Pete's opinion as well. The Browns finishing some rooms or starting some rooms here. Tight end room maybe finished. Defensive tackle room starting to see the finishing touches. And finally, defensive tackle room, by all means, that room still needs one more name to it. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go, Browns.